Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast here on Boss Rush Games. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me is Colonel Panic himself, Joe Wilson.
Well, hello.
Hello. No Jesse this week, so
I
was trying to like.
I was like, oh, I'm up.
As I was looking at the screen, I was like, who's going first? Also joining us is the Viking King of England himself, Mr. Josh Finney.
That's right. I played another single-player Ubisoft game that I have problems with.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't at this point?
Is it the same problems as all?
Somewhat. I hit a game-breaking bug at the very end of the game, so I can't actually finish the game.
Well, that's a big yes.
And it's been like this for 2 months, and they haven't fixed it.
Aren't they putting a patch out next week? I think.
Dude, they've done 3 patches since they acknowledged the issue, and that's all they've done is acknowledge it.
Oh.
I'm very agitated right now, but anyways.
Joining us in the place of Jesse Douglas is our PC Muscle Race host of Crossroads, the PlayStation podcast, LeRon Dawkins.
What's up? I'm in the Lions Den tonight. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well.
Or is that Pow Block? Actually, I feel like Pow Block are a bunch of kittens. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's probably apt.
Pow Block is the kids' table. Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny because it's true.
Next year for around Thanksgiving, we should do like a almost like a family photo, but like draw how the table would be sectioned off and what each people would be eating. And then you can have a kids' table, and that would definitely be the Nintendo.
I feel like Joe and I would have to each carve like the turkey or the bird that's there.
What would the bird be? It would have to be some other animal.
It would be Tofurkey.
No, I was thinking like it has to be like an animal that's in the lore of like Xbox.
Blinks the Time Sweeper.
Blinks the Time Cat.
There you go.
Perfect. It's Kazooie.
Oh God, Kazooie.
Kazooie.
Oh man, Conker. No, Conker's just under the table drinking.
Conker's the appetizer.
Or any of the pinata animals.
Oh God, the pinatas.
They're the table decoration.
We should put a pin in that, but just revisit it throughout the year until we have a fully.
Somebody write it down because by the time the show ends, we will forget it.
Oh, okay.
I'll write it on one of my napkins.
That'd be like an Easter egg for the year end stuff that we have planned.
Yeah. Are we gonna draw it like aiming down the table long ways, or are we gonna draw it like Last Supper style, where
Last Supper?
Can I be Jesus?
Oh God. That just automatically means I'm going to be the guy standing up and pointing, like, accusatorially. Oh my God! Why would y'all say the Last Supper?
No, Josh is going to be Judas.
What? Why am I Judas?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I listen. I'm either Jesus Christ or Peter. There's no in between.
Oh wow! Wow. I've been watching I've been watching Star Trek today. That is just sheer fucking hubris right there, bro.
I'll settle for drawing Phil Spencer in the place of Jesus, and I'll be Peter.
All right,
he can be the Peter to my Jesus.
Out.
Guys, I'm really stressed out, by the way, because the Browns are playing. Of course, the Browns had to play on Sunday night when we record this very important podcast. Okay, the world's greatest Xbox podcast.
You're damn right.
The NFL did not take into the consideration that the world's greatest Xbox podcast records live at 8:30 p.m. when by the way, the Browns have not only scored a touchdown on a fumble recovery in the end zone, but they also just intercepted Ben Roethlisberger and are driving down the field.
Whoa!
And all that buzzing you're hearing, the Browns. My mom and dad are texting me simultaneously. Hello, mother and father. And thank you for keeping me updated. That's why I keep a little TV right there to watch the game. Sorry, Josh, about your Seahawks today.
The writing was on the wall all season if you'd ever watched them play.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, they're winning against the Rams. No. Have y'all seen us play the back half of the season? No, we weren't winning.
They just scored again. Yeah! Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm keeping this very unprofessional, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna open up the show notes here. It was a very to put away the side chat. I feel like we did address it on Tower Casuals. We did address it on the Boss Rush podcast. I feel like it would not be right if we didn't address it here on Arsenal X. January 6th, there was an attack on our capital. It was very, as an American, it was very embarrassing. It was very horrifying. It was very just disturbing. I know I said a lot yesterday and on Tower Casuals. I'm going to open the floor to you guys before I give my thoughts on this show. It was a pretty rough thing to watch.
Yeah, I think it highlights how important words are and the things you say, how you say them, who you say them to. I feel like it's been a problem, obviously, the past couple years of just not... There's a way that you can have your opinion and not rile people up about it, you know? And regardless whether or not you feel like that's a valid opinion or not is besides the point. People are going to feel the way that they feel, especially in like a high stakes environment. But I don't know. It was like I was both like very embarrassed and I was very, I want to say afraid is probably the best word, but like I don't know which one of them won. And then I was also angry. And it was so odd to have all three feelings at the same time at almost equal levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now I'm more embarrassed than anything. That's the one that kind of won out, especially seeing like what's happened like the past couple days. But I'm very anxious to see what happens tomorrow. For us is Monday. It'll be a little later when you're listening to this, but like I'm very anxious to see what happens tomorrow and through probably Wednesday of this week.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into it too much because Corey and I spent about 20-25 minutes going in on this on Tower Casuals. That was about 24 hours after the Capitol had been secured. But if you're calling what these people did a protest or a demonstration, expressing their opinions, expressing their views, you're fundamentally wrong. Like, there's no way to put it. You're wrong. You are covering up for a domestic terrorist attack. You are covering up for people who have never been told when their lives, apparently. You're covering up for privileged ass people. And quote the words of Joe Scarborough, who said this on his broadcast Thursday morning. There is no doubt in his mind that if this was Black Lives Matter, there would have been tanks rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue. If this was a crowd of Muslim people, they would have been getting sniped from the buildings. That's basically what he said with a lot less profanity. But call them what they are. They're fucking terrorists. There's no other way to say it. There's no justification for this. They're, like Joe just said, your words have consequences, your actions have consequences, and now they're starting to be arrested and charged with federal crimes, not state, federal crimes.
They're the worst kind of terrorists, in my opinion, too, because they're standing behind the United States flag, but yet and still they're the same damn motherfuckers who turned around when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. Oh, you're disrespecting the soldiers. You're disrespecting the country. You're disrespecting this and that. They're the same ones that they're also akin to the ones like to hide behind religion. Because last I checked, there's no single freaking religion that's going to have you committing violence just because someone disagrees with you.
Yep.
I'm not the most studied person in religion and stuff like that. But if everyone's always telling me the golden rule that came from the Bible was do unto others what you wouldn't want done to you, then there's a fundamental problem there, and stop using your religion, stop using the flag, stop using your skin color for a reason to terrorize other people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, is there any doubt in our minds that if people of color did this, that they would have been completely different?
No. I mean,
we've all seen
they never would have made it inside.
No,
right.
We've all seen the comparison pictures of what DC looked like over the summer. Never forget, peaceful protesters were tear gassed so that our racist ass president to go have a photo op with a Bible in front of a black church.
A Bible he held upside down.
Yeah, that he held upside down.
In all fairness, he doesn't know which way books go, so it's not like the Bible's fault. It could have been any book, and it would have been upside down.
But the fact that you had all this, and then you had Republican lawmakers, 140 of them, I believe, still went in and voted to throw out the election results in Arizona and Pennsylvania is inexcusable. This is a problem that's not going away with Donald Trump. He is a symptom. He is not a cause.
The funny thing is that a lot of those people have now come forward, and they have the audacity to say that they voted that way because they were scared for their lives.
Yep. You don't use that justification now.
Good old hindsight.
Here's the problem.
Should have had hindsight.
I understand that you are afraid of the people that the president is whipping up. Maybe you shouldn't have voted with him.
The people that you were kind of riling up too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
The people you were riling up that you're trying to get campaign donations from, you are that desperate to cling to power that you're going to enable a third-rate game show host to become a despot, essentially, in what's supposed to be the world's greatest democratic experiment. It is safe to say after Wednesday that the American experiment has failed. It has fundamentally failed. There is no safeguard in place when the ruling party will not take action. There just isn't. And I think like I'm finally starting to process it this weekend how close we really came to having public executions.
Yeah.
On the National Mall. We came extremely close. Like, basically, one or two very heroic police officers led that mob away from the opening to the Senate chambers. Mm-hmm. One of whom was a black man.
I mentioned yesterday on the Bossers podcast that we were basically looking at like a designated survivor situation. And for people who don't understand what designated survivor means as far as political terms go, that means when you have such a complete breakdown and a loss of life within the governmental body, that you wind up having to elect the last surviving official that had a cabinet position or any type of high-ranking position to become the next president.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what we were looking at, and I hate to tell you, that's not a good look. And I know, and for the people who are calling for something like that, y'all are assholes because you're not going to be any safer. You think this is for your safety? This is not going to help you feel safe at all. It's going to usher in all this danger and trauma that you swear is coming anyway from the new president, from number 46, Joe Biden coming in. It's going to usher it in because people are going to be scared and they're not going to know what to do. And I hate the fact that our society actually like relies on the government so much for for peace. And not just peace but peace of mind. That if our government structure collapsed, like you wouldn't be able to walk outside your front door about the idea of your head getting knocked off or chopped off or whatever, right? Because no one's gonna know how to govern themselves and act anymore, But somehow like the election got stolen, and I mentioned this too, like for the 75 million people that voted for Trump, like there's like 310 million people in the United States, so 75 million. You guys made a nice turnout, but it wasn't enough of a turnout to keep the guy in office. You should have found more people who are willing to vote. That's
the other thing, though. Like the thing that hurts the most about this, or is the most annoying, frustrating. You could attach almost any feeling to what I'm about to say and say that it's the fact that these people got a glimpse, and I would say a glimpse of what it feels like to be a minority and be told no, and they lost their shit. Mm-hmm. And they forget that other people have been living this way their entire lives here. Like, that's the part that bothers me the most. Is like they were told no, unwilling to accept that answer. Now they're throwing a tantrum like a fucking 4-year-old. Grow up. Wait your turn. If you have something better comes along in 4 years, present it.
Or just like they tell everybody else who is disenfranchised, go out there and vote, make a change.
What? Why don't you move? Make it. You don't like how it is. Go ahead and move.
They don't have a drop of their shit together to be able to get a passport, let alone like get themselves out of anywhere.
Well, now they can't go anywhere.
The final thing that I would say regarding all this, just to keep from because I'll sit here and talk about it all night if I'm given the opportunity.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I would encourage anyone who wants a little bit more clarity on what the events that led up to this and wants a historical perspective, I would encourage you to listen to the remarks that Connor Lamb of Pennsylvania made when Congress went back into session after the attack on our Capitol on Wednesday. And I would encourage you to, I can't believe I'm saying these words, but hey, the 2020s are surprising me. Watch the video that Arnold Schwarzenegger posted today.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
That's about 7.5 minutes long. Nobody has more respect for this country than immigrants.
Mm-hmm. That is the truth.
For anyone who hasn't watched it, it's about 7.5 minutes long. I didn't think I was going to watch the whole thing, but it flew by like that. He talks about growing up in Austria. He was born 2 years after World War II ended, talked about how his father would come home drunk, and he says, I've never shared this publicly. My father would come home drunk, and my friends' fathers would come home drunk, and they would beat us. They would scream at us. They would beat me. They would beat my mother. And it's because them getting drunk was how they reckoned with the things that they did during the Nazi regime. And he says, basically, we are seeing, like, people are going to have to learn how to deal with this. He goes, there is time for compassion and unity. He goes, right now is not the time. He goes, you have to cut this off at the source. Because if you don't, he's like, I have seen what it does. It will destroy things. He's like, our democracy survived. We have to keep making sure it survives, essentially. I would encourage everybody to watch it, though. He relates the Sword of Conan at one point to democracy and how you forge a sword. It's heated up, you bang it with the hammer, you plunge it into the water, and then you put it back into the fire, you beat it again. He's like, that's basically an analogy for democracy. And I think what he says is really good. Surprisingly, he's like one of the better, more level-headed politicians out there. And I never thought the Terminator would be that guy, but here we are.
But that's the other thing. He's also a Republican, and I think it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. The party that you most identify with doesn't make you right or the majority or make you smarter or anything like that. It is down to the individuals, and unfortunately, there's a lot of shitty individuals in the government right now, and that's all that it comes down to.
Yeah. So just the last piece on this, just because, we spent 58 minutes of the show yesterday talking about it. We spent 25 or so minutes on Tower Casuals. I'm sure Pow Block will touch on it tomorrow.
Crossroads will not. I promise you guys that. I feel like we're done talking about it.
Actually,
hold on. Let me rephrase that. We're done making it the hot topic. Yeah. We will continue to talk about it, but we're done making it the hot topic.
And that's where I'm going with this is Boss Rush Games exist, and our kind of motto is be better, be better to each other, be better to one another, but it also means and should mean, and part of this is on me too for not keeping up with this and just because, once things happen, life happens, and then sometimes you just don't think about it, and that's not the way these types of subjects should be. But, I want to push that fact even further this year and make sure that we push the respect that we should have for one another and being better to one another and being helpful to anyone who needs it. And as long as you're a good person, you're welcome here. That's what we've always talked about. If you support anything that happened this past week, if you are one of the supporters of that, then you are not welcome here. Josh and I said that on Tower Casuals. We also made it a point that said we would rather do that show for no people if our entire audience supported that than to have 10,000 followers. That's not what this is for.
It's the same thing that Corey and I said over the summer when we had all of the Black Lives Matter protests going on. We made it a point to say that real early on in Tower Casuals, and we talked about it on Arsenal X as well, and then we talked about it with the election as well. It comes down to human decency at the end. Mm-hmm. And if you're not going to be a decent human being, if you're going to be homophobic, if you're going to be transphobic, you're going to be racist, you're going to be sexist, just get the fuck out. Corey's going to be a lot nicer about it than I am. I'll just tell you right out, get the fuck out. We don't want you here. This is not the community.
Josh is
your values do.
Josh is the bad cop to my good cop.
I am. I'm just gonna I'll say it bluntly. again, like Corey said, like I would rather do a show for no people than do it for a bunch of people who agree with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've sat here and listened to us through the stuff that happened in 2020, then you know where we stand at this point. Like not just Corey and I, but like all of us as a team, as a network, you know where we stand.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
which I hope.
I mean, like I said at this point, and I told you guys, this isn't a Democrat versus Republican thing. This is literally a good person versus bad people issue.
Yep.
And
hell, I'll take it one step even further. It's common sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I totally expect to lose. I've already and not that this is like a big deal to me or anything, because I don't care. But like, I've already lost followers. I've noticed some of our shows have lost followers because of stuff that we've mentioned already. And like, I don't care, right? I don't care. This is not what we're building here. So,
better off without him.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. You know, we are here to support each other. We are here to support our friends who are going through trouble, regardless of race, gender, identity, sexuality. So if you don't support that, you can get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, you know what's gonna get the fuck in is Greg Osterman's food question.
Always.
We love Greg.
We do. Greg Osterman.
Greg should be the Jesus cutting our turkey.
Should he hold two knives up in an
X?
About that. In an X? Should he hold two knives up in like an
turkey.
X? Oh,
as long as he's not Judas.
No, that's you, Josh. I already told you.
No, it's not. It's not me. If we're doing the Last Supper, listen. If we're doing the Last Supper, it's got to be somebody from another show. Okay.
Greg Osterman III writes in, as always. He says, "Hey, Xbots, a new week, a new food question, but we're going to change it up a little bit. If you could point at one of your co-hosts, what food do you think would be their favorite food and why? What is on this favorite food?"
Corey's a sandwich.
Sandwich. That was going to be the easy one.
Yeah, Corey's a sandwich.
Why am I the sandwich?
Corey,
talk about sandwiches all the goddamn day.
It's either sandwiches or pizza.
Look,
Joe is pizza.
We talk about one specific sandwich place on these shows, okay, and that is Earl of Sandwich. Did you see
the Earl of Sandwich? The Earl of Sandwich.
Did you see the roast beef and mac and cheese sandwich that they posted on their Twitter account?
Hold on. Earl is just like it's spelled EARL. They're not fancy ERLE.
Earl of Sandwich, just like it sounds.
Hold on, let's look at this. Where's their social
Cleveland
media?
Cleveland versus Pittsburgh.
Go to their website. It's on the front page.
Cleveland versus Pittsburgh update. The Browns are winning 21-0 in the first quarter.
What?
So the only thing I will say, like mac and cheese. The spectrum of mac and cheese is such a wide spectrum, and I've never had an Earl of Sandwich, so I don't know if every ingredient is expected to be top notch.
Oh, it's top notch.
I've had some fucking flavorless mac and cheese, and if that is on a sandwich,
delicious. I've had it.
It's good.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Yep.
Well, I guess I'll have to take your word for it.
You're goddamn right.
Never had it.
No, what Joe is right though. I've run across some extremely flavorless mac and cheese.
You get some of that buffet mac and cheese.
You're basically tasting watered down milk.
Yeah.
Corey's a unique, eccentric individual, and I think that requires a unique sandwich. Corey is the holiday turkey sandwich from Earl of Sandwich. Turkey, cornbread stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, and mayo.
Oh my god,
that's a complex sandwich. That is a.
Corey's a complex individual. You know, he's got a little. His hands are in a little bit of every pie.
Have you had their breakfast burrito, Corey?
I've had everything on their menu, Joe.
So that's a yes.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's waiting for endorsement. This guy's waiting for endorsements.
I am. They follow me on Twitter. They know.
Corey and I may have spent like all summer trying to get them to follow us, and they retweeted Tower Casuals.
They do. They list. Yeah.
Or just they like it, and they actually listened because they replied and talked about the exact segment where we mentioned Zavala's favorite sandwich.
They do. They do.
It was great.
They did. It was awesome. It was awesome. Sorry, the Browns just had another interception. I don't know what's happening in this game, but this is the best game the Browns have ever played. I don't care if they lose now. It's the best game they've ever played.
What's Earl of Sandwich? What's the difference between your pizza bread and your cheese pizza bread?
It's one's the kids and one's the
it's
regular.
Just for kids. Right.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay.
Also, I think the cheese bread doesn't have sauce.
Well, no, the pizza. There's pizza bread and cheese pizza bread. I don't see cheese bread.
Well, then I don't know.
If they open up one in Pittsburgh,
I think there's one in Philadelphia.
Well, that's a drive.
Yeah.
It's still closer than the one that I've got. The next closest for me, I think, is legitimately Florida.
So here's the deal, guys, and anyone's invited. And I don't know if they'll do it this year because it happened in July last year, but they have. Was it 2 years ago now? They had that Halo Outpost discovery in Philly. I would be more than happy to meet up with any of you there. We can go get an Earl of Sandwich. We can have a LAN party.
Let's do it.
I really hope they do it. If they don't do it this year, they will for sure do it the following year. But
yeah,
I want to do that or go to Guardian Con.
Why not both?
Both, man. They're both like in the same week, though. I think.
Look, we'll just get media passes for Boss Rush Network, and we'll just.
Corey, listen. But here's the thing, Corey. One of those is near Disney World, and one of those is not.
I am aware, but then we'll just make a trip to Disney afterwards, right?
Guardian Con is literally in downtown Orlando.
I know.
I will say this: we can also slow roll our media budget so that we can have content multiple years.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why Joe's the smart one. Okay, this is.
I don't.
Anyways,
don't put baby in a
Joe
corner.
is like a supreme pizza to me.
I'm gonna.
What? I'm what?
You're a supreme pizza. Like you know everything. You're the boss guy. Like you just know it all. It's all there for everybody to see.
I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Supreme pizza. There you go.
If I was my own pizza, I would just be a plain cheese pizza. I mean, that's just what I want to eat.
Oh my god. The Browns are up 28-0 in the first.
Why are they on this? Why are they on the first quarter? Like, wait, who are they?
We're playing the Steelers.
Steelers. Shout out to Nerd Generalist. We love you, buddy.
That's okay. He hates himself right now.
I want to let you guys know that my favorite food, actually, in the entire world is a good burrito. But yes, I agree. Joe is a supreme pizza. No sausage or pepperoni, though.
I was thinking long and hard about this, and I couldn't quite remember. I was trying to come up with your antithesis food, and all I know is it has a shit ton of sour cream on it.
Oh, God.
You were telling me there was something that you hated else. You don't like avocados either, right?
No, I love avocados.
Oh, you like
avocados. The sour cream thing stems from the very first podcast I ever did about 6 years ago with our friend Ray Apollo. And I forget how it started. We were talking about our day, though, and I mentioned that I got tacos, and I asked them for no sour cream. I don't like the texture of sour cream unless there's like a lot of, like if there's like liquid cheese or something or like a whole lot of salsa, like it can kind of take out that like dairy flavor to me. I just don't like it gobbed in my tacos, and they gave me like double or triple sour cream. Like I just bit in and it was a whole mouthful of sour cream. And so I was relaying this story, and our friend Chris took it and ran with it. And from that moment on, when he would introduce me, he would call me, because I really liked Ra's al Ghul on Arrow, he would call me the Demon Sour Cream. I have not been able to shake that nickname for 6 years now.
That's true.
Back.
When he first appear on the show, that was the
in his phone as that.
I'm just gonna continue calling you that.
The Demon Sour Cream. I like it. I like it.
Maybe I'll change it to the Guardian Sour Cream, or the Viking Sour Cream, or whatever game you're playing the next week. What are you playing after Valhalla? No, I think it'll be about time to go back to Guardian sour cream because the new season of Destiny will drop.
When's the new season start in Destiny? Do we know?
In like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
First week of February.
All right,
February 6th.
I'm pretty sure LeRon is just like a giant 6-gallon container of muscle milk and
So
gummy
wait,
bears.
am I fucking sour cream?
Yep.
Fuck y'all. I gave y'all good answers. I thought long and hard about your answers. Fuck y'all.
Josh, I think you are a very, very. What are you? What is Josh?
I'm looking at Josh. I'm looking at Josh, and it's funny because I've watched quite a few episodes of Arsenal. Like it's like my Sunday night ritual. So you guys are lucky. So I mean, like you're kind of like the last things I watch on Sunday nights before I head off to bed. But I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to a lot of the food stuff that Josh talks about. I think I'm just ready for the news and stuff. But I have a funny feeling like you're like one of those big greasy burger type of guys.
I mean, I'm a fairly large man. That would fit.
I feel like Josh is the type of guy that puts eggs on his burger with some really crispy bacon.
I mean,
hey,
I do like a good sunny side egg.
Hey,
Yeah.
Sunny side egg on my burger.
Josh, would you be offended if I called you a Monte Cristo sandwich?
No, it's sophisticated.
I feel like it's both sophisticated, but once you actually look at the ingredients, you're like, oh, it's just French toast as a sandwich.
The one thing that bugs me about the
But
Monte
it's
Cristo.
delicious.
First off, I'm delicious. I'm not just a snack. I'm a full fucking buffet. Okay.
Okay.
And the Monte Cristo is the sandwich. It sounds so sophisticated. And I like to think of myself as a sophisticated, kind of like it's the Monte Cristo is the kind of sandwich I imagine an asshole enjoying. I like Monte Cristos, for example. I'm an asshole.
Sure.
It fits.
I think it does fit.
Okay.
You should wear like a hat. You
I
should
am
wear any
out
hat
of
you
Monte
want.
Cristo.
What? All right, now we gotta see what LeRon is. What is LeRon? I said a big 6-gallon tank of muscle milk with some gummy bears inside, but that's not food. It's like
I would say
RBG in the chat says LeRon is a super obscure whey protein gummy candy from Japan.
Why? Why are you? Okay. What else you got?
LeRon, I don't know you all that well,
Hmm.
but I would say that you're probably like 2 chicken breasts with a side of rice.
What's the vegetable of choice?
Crepes.
steamed broccoli.
Okay, I do throw down some good broccoli.
I like broccoli. If you like broccoli, I'll throw broccoli on the plate.
You'll appreciate this though, LeRon. I started my I gotta lose weight diet again.
Okay.
For the new year. I cut things out in stages. This week I cut out sugar and what else? Like chips and stuff. Like I guess that would be your starches. Next week is bread and like rice type stuff. So I lost 8 pounds this week. I'm very proud of myself.
Nice. I'm on day 10 of a no sugar thing, and I'm about to lose my goddamn mind.
I do get Saturdays though. Saturdays are my free
donuts
day.
this afternoon. Because I'm stressed out, so I ate a lot of sugar today and drank a lot of beer.
Well, but for real, why is all this physical fitness food? Because I'll be honest with you guys, like that stuff's boring. Like, and I know how to cook, so I can dress it up and like put all sorts of flavor and stuff on it.
I feel
That's
like
boring.
Look, this
LeRon
physical
is like the most sophisticated like shake that I've ever, not like a milkshake, but like smoothie that I've ever seen. like he mixes in like your usuals, and I hope I don't offend you by any of my choices, but you got the basic fruits you throw in there. You got your strawberries, you got your bananas.
Mhm.
You gotta add it's LeRon. You gotta add that. You gotta add some muscle milk or some protein powder or something. We all want to get ripped like LeRon.
Get a scoop of whey protein in there. He's got to be vanilla or cookies and cream flavored.
Yeah, dude. Like I see your post and I'm like, God damn, I want to be that shit. And then I go eat a donut.
Josh is stressed out.
Trust me, I'm round in more places than I am flat.
I am eating Christmas gobstoppers right now, and finishing a tall beer.
To be fair,
Josh. I'm so hungry just hearing you talk about gobstoppers right now, man.
What?
Here's
when Josh held the can up, I honestly thought it was Ready Whip. I'm just finishing off this last can of Ready Whip.
Listen,
this is my weekend
fat to do that on camera. I saved that for off cam.
Wait, what in the? Oh man, come on!
This is my weekend cheat, man.
Y'all are killing me right now.
Weekend
oh my
cheat.
God!
Oh, excuse me, it's dry cider. I'm drinking adult apple juice.
Just so you know, I'm going to eat this right now and tell you how it tastes, LeRon, because you're not eating sugar.
Wait, I thought you were zero sugar right now, though.
I said Saturdays are my cheat day, and I get a snack on Sunday.
Is this your snack then, or is it a cheat? What's the difference between a snack and a cheat?
Don't complicate things here, Joe.
All right, I won't. All right,
okay, but honestly, those are all good ones. I mean, like, shoot, I will run my ass over to Tropical Smoothie and get like a really good like proteined up smoothie or something like that every once in a while. But my absolute favorite food is just loaded nachos. That is my absolute favorite thing, and there's one thing, I do eat sour cream, but too much sour cream on nachos will ruin it fast. The best thing you can do for me is like just have that really shredded melty cheese on there and just let it sit for like a minute until it's just like this. It looks like just dried lava on the top of it.
In my peak nacho making career, which is probably about 6 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
What I used to do or love to do, I used to make my own tortilla chips and like fry them, like and make nachos. Like it was like. Anyway, what I used to do is take the sour cream and my avocados and put them in a bowl on the side so you could get your full chip and then scoop it at whatever ratio you want of sour cream and avocado, and that is the best way to do it. But it's just a lot of extra bowls and work and stuff like that.
Now, here's a question, Joe. Are you full vegan or just veganish?
Vegetarian. So
vegetarian.
I eat way too much. I like pizza, so I can't like not do cheese. And I've had fake cheese before, and like on pizza, it's just not that great. So I just don't do meats, but I'll do dairy and I'll do eggs and stuff like that. I eat a lot of eggs.
Okay. All right. Cool. So wait, did we get everybody?
We got everybody.
We got everybody. Okay. All right. Well, that was cool. Really
reacting to the game.
Really, the muscle milk.
My
am
wife.
I that much of a lunkhead?
So it's again from me knowing you from what you project. It's a lot of the workout stuff comes through.
Okay. Well, I've been kind of listless the past 5 days because my personal trainer has moved out of state now. So Friday, and I know he doesn't listen to any of these shows. So Friday, I didn't actually get up and do anything at all. Ooh. And I was supposed to go out and run at least once this weekend, and that didn't happen. And he texted me about an hour and a half ago, like, hey, like if you want to, we'll do a Zoom session tomorrow. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
I have to figure out something. I'm pretty good. Monday through Friday, my week looks like I have Huel. If you guys know what Huel is for my breakfast, just basically like a complete meal.
Yeah.
I do usually like a protein bar, like a complete bar for lunch as my lunch, and then I have like a normal dinner. I will work out usually when I wake up every morning for like 30 to 45 minutes, but I cannot shake the tire around my belly.
It's the hardest thing.
Man,
Start running.
I run every day.
It's the hardest thing, honestly. Like I'm not gonna say I run every day, but I feel like I run enough that I should have dropped a lot of the blubber that I carry.
There's this pouch that I feel like for the most part, like I would say from my feet to my butt is like pretty good. Like it looks like when I'm in like my skippies and I'm like, you know what? It's not bad. And then as soon as I get to my belly, it's just like this it's like this roll that like falls over. It's like, what are you doing? It's like hanging on to me. It's like cliffhanger. It's like, I got you, bitch. And it's just like, what are you doing?
I can only
so close to looking like a human being.
I can only imagine Greg's face when we answer his questions and the rails that we go off of just based on his questions alone.
I used to do this in high school all the time to my a few select teachers. He knows what he's doing. Penny on my.
I would also be so guilty of doing this, mainly to substitutes.
Yeah, this morning I got up and I actually jumped on the scale, and I'm below 240, which is like actually my goal is to get into to get into the low 230s. But so I'm said I was feeling good about myself, so ripped off the shirt and everything, like looked in the mirror and did a little pinch test, and I was like, wow, like I still have a fupa.
I haven't heard that word in like 10 years.
Put my shirt back on and went right back to bed. If I could get Spanx that looked like skin, that's a product. That's what I want.
Man. Okay.
Corey's got a nice vision in his head now.
No, you just threw me off by using that word, and it's just a word I haven't heard in a very long time. So my goal, I'm 6'5". My goal is to be around 240, 235. So that's my goal. It's about 30 pounds.
235 was my initial goal. My stretch goal now is 225. Because I think if I get any lower than that, I'm just gonna look weird.
Yeah. Well, the highest I ever won was 359.
Oh wow.
The lowest I ever was 218.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was the lowest, everybody told me I looked really weird. So.
You were born at 218 pounds?
Was born? What?
You said the lowest.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's crazy you say that because I used to work for the shipyard down here, and that breeds a sedentary lifestyle, because I had a desk job, but it was more of a processing job, so I did get out and do things, so I thought I was doing something. One night we were processing some stuff, and we just happened to be around one of those industrial scales. So me and the guy I was with, we were like, hey, let's see how much we weigh. Let's step on this thing. Yeah. I stepped on that thing. That goddamn thing said 301 pounds, and I was like, oh. Lifestyle change right now. Wound up dropping like 60 some odd pounds and everything. Mm-hmm. and everybody swore up and down like I like basically I was an AIDS or a cancer patient.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So no joke. Sorry. I had a similar thing. I was at work. I was in like our shipping department area. Mm-hmm. And everyone was doing it's like, oh, how much do you weigh? Like getting on the scale, weighing themselves. I am 5'9". And I weighed 250 pounds. And, like, I didn't realize that, like, shit happened. And I was like, oh, man, it's like that moment you like, feel shitty about yourself. And I started then walking to work every day and, like, doing, like, a more regimented, like okay, I'm not going to have, like, 6 eggs every morning for breakfast. I'll just, like, have, like, a sensible, normal meal. And I was down to 185. And then when I started seeing friends, they're like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I feel great. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I didn't know if you were sick or something. And be like, oh, thanks. It's a lot of hard work to look this sick.
Right. Yeah. The ones I hate the most are you look better with all the weight on. And I was like, yeah. And I was a walking heart attack waiting to happen.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Says every doctor.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's I don't know. It's food is too good, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it. I'm
also true. Also,
it
doesn't help when you can get a beef burrito at Taco Bell for $1, and then the salad at the next place over is like 13, and you're like, oh, well, I can eat 13 beef burritos for the cost of that salad.
You're right.
It really kind of stinks. Like that's the one of the worst parts is that like there's such a time constraint I think on most people. I want to do so much in one day, in addition to like work, family, personal stuff. The eating. And I do enjoy like food, but it's like so hard to like focus on like making a meal and prepping a meal, especially one that's good for you. And then getting food that's perishable is like the best way. But then you have to like worry about like, okay, I get this much food. I don't want to go to the store every day, so I have to cook these meals all in a row. And it's so much easier to just eat junk that tastes better and is faster to make. I don't know.
Yeah, my roommate asked me just Friday night. He's like, hey, why'd you stop meal prepping? I was like, the easiest part of the whole thing is going to the grocery store and getting it. And I love to cook. That's but it's become the world's biggest chore.
Yeah. Well, this is an Xbox podcast. I'm sure somebody forgot along the way. This is Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast, where each and every Sunday night, live on twitch.tv/BossRushGamesLive, we discuss the world of Xbox with our friends from around the internet. If you can't join us live, you can head on over to youtube.com/BossRushGames and podcast services every Tuesday to check out the show. Leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. Rate and subscribe wherever you watch us. And, share it because it really helps. So, I feel like we have a decent show, I would say. It really helps us out, and you can check out our family of shows, including Crossroads, the PlayStation podcast, which LeRon hosts over on twitch.tv/Exodus803. Follow him as well, because Crossroads is going to start living there, I think, in the near future. So, anyways, we have a couple topics here to talk about. I don't know. Do we just want to answer the questions, or do we want to talk about these topics? I was scrounging the internet for Xbox topics.
I would say do the questions. I think you got more than enough that you can talk about there.
Yeah. All right. So we're just gonna get into our questions. We have a lot of discussions about these about these questions anyway. So our friend Antonio Guillen at Hypecaster on Twitter writes in. He says, "What comes to Game Pass in 2021 that shocks the gaming world?" Now, one of the original topics I had in the news and topics was there's been a little bit of rumors floating around that the Ubisoft service at some form of it would hit Game Pass Ultimate this year. It's just rumor and speculation, but I feel like there's enough out there that maybe Microsoft has at least talked to Ubisoft about bringing it over to Game Pass.
Yeah. So I actually heard this rumor last summer, back in late June, early July, leading up to the Xbox Summer event. And I remember being a little bit surprised it didn't get announced, because Microsoft's been really close with Ubisoft this generation, like specifically when it comes to Assassin's Creed and Far Cry titles.
Right.
And then even Division 2. I believe that was a pack-in as well. In addition to all the Assassin's Creeds have had their own bundles with Xbox One as well. And then we got the EA Play announcement, and I was like, okay, so that's what that talk was about. It was for EA and not for Ubisoft. I think the majority of like the more hardcore people into the ecosystem would enjoy a Ubisoft over EA Play. Like, EA Play, though, is great for the casual gamers. You're getting them in there with the sports. You're getting them with Battlefield. You're getting them with Need for Speed. You're getting them with, there's BioWare. Well, there's BioWare games. You're getting them with, Battlefront. You're getting them with Star Wars. Like, you're getting them with all sorts of stuff. Ubisoft, it's like, okay, well, you're getting them with the same games, just reskinned every time they come out. If they do this between the Bethesda acquisition and EA Play already being a part of it, I don't see there's any way that Game Pass does not go up in price. I'm already anticipating a price increase by the end of the year purely because of the Bethesda acquisition they need to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, let's not mince words here. Like, Game Pass does bonkers numbers. Okay, like it is a straight stream of revenue. I keep seeing people go, well, it makes so much money. Why don't we have more third-party games coming? You don't have that because Microsoft wants to keep that to fund their own projects, and it's a smart move.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they were able to justify getting Bethesda, was they showed it to the CEO, and he's like, yeah, let's do this. This makes business sense. Like, that's a massive acquisition. That's 3 Star Warses.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 Star Warses that they paid for. Or, excuse me, 2. We paid 2 Star Warses for it. That's crazy.
Don't forget that Indiana Jones was put into that deal too, man.
It's Lucas.
You know what I mean. Like, it's like, so you already have multiple, like, acclaimed RPG franchises joining. You have 2 more, like, long-time, like, legacy first-person shooters that have been going on forever and are super critically acclaimed across the board. And then you've got a massive MMO, like, probably the biggest MMO on consoles, frankly, all joining. So what could possibly top any of that that's already coming? For me, it would have to be either, like, some big fighting game coming on day one, or I think it's going to be a JRPG, frankly. I was saying this last year, especially as we got out of this summer event and we started seeing the Conspiracy Blue controller appear everywhere. I think Persona 5 could come to Game Pass this year. It would be the first time that a mainline Persona game has not been only on a PlayStation console, that it has come to another console. Let's remember, Persona 5 hasn't even come to Switch yet, which shocks me. They're getting Strikers, but they have, or Scramblers, whatever it's called, but they haven't gotten the actual Persona 5 game, despite Joker being in Smash and everything else. Phil keeps wanting them to have a foot in Japan. So what if it's Persona? On the flip side, I could see Final Fantasy VII Remake, the second that exclusivity period is up, bam, here you go. It's on Game Pass.
Well, they already said...
I think that's the one.
Yeah, they already said multiple Final Fantasy games are coming to Game Pass this year. I mean, it's just a continuation of what we saw last year, like 10, 2, 12.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, I think either one of those would be huge.
My thing, too, is like, it could be Final Fantasy 14 also coming to Xbox for the first time. Not to gain foothold in Japan, but just in general, like maybe you get.
I think 14 is coming. I couldn't believe that they didn't. I thought 14 was what they were going to announce last year in the pre-show when we got the Square Enix announcements. We got the one about Balan Wonderland, and we got the one about Dragon Quest 11 Complete Edition coming. I do think Final Fantasy 14 is coming this year, but that wasn't my prediction solely because this was asking about Game Pass. The only other thing I can think is Hades. The second it releases on Xbox, it comes to Game Pass.
Yeah, I could see that too.
So,
that's a good call.
I think Remake or Persona is the one. That's a genre that they've dabbled in, but that they definitely don't have a studio that can pump one of those out. So,
what do you guys think that we consolidate the whole Game Pass, Xbox Live thing?
I think Xbox Live Gold goes away this year.
I bet if they want third party companies to join Game Pass, like I feel like you having 2 separate tiers now with Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. I feel like Game Pass, and that you already see this with the EA Play stuff, where like Game Pass is for like Xbox first party games, like base first party games and indies and stuff, whereas Ultimate, even if it goes up $5 a month, that's where you get EA Play, that's where you get the Ubisoft stuff, that's where you get the extra expansion stuff for first party games.
To be abundantly clear, $20 is the absolute most I will ever pay for Game Pass, even Ultimate. I will not go above $20.
But I think that I would be curious what their actual margins are as far as like, because like I have never paid full price, I don't think, for Xbox Live Game Pass or anything.
Yeah.
I now have Game Pass. I can't redeem the Game Pass that came with my console until next year because I'm already at the limit. Like I'm paid.
I have 2 years as well.
Yeah, I'm through like March or April of 2021. And you can only do, 3 years at a time?
Something like that, yeah.
So I have to wait to redeem before I can even get that out of the way. So I'm curious. Like I know that they say like even I couldn't tell you what the cost of all the tiers are right now. It's like 15, right? 15.
It's
is
10,
ultimate.
15.
Mm-hmm.
And Xbox Live is $5 a month.
$7.
$7.
It's $60 a year.
But like even that, like most of the time when you see it, it's like $40. It's on sale for $40 somewhere.
Right.
And they have all those deals that you pay a penny and they convert over whatever it is to Game Pass and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what their actual like margins are. Like, what are they expecting the average person to pay for like Game Pass?
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some schlub that's paying out of pocket $15 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Even $15 a month is not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what like any video streaming service costs like $15.
That is what I pay for that. Well, that's what I would be paying for HBO if it wasn't included with my internet, and I would gladly pay that $15 for HBO. So yeah, but anything above that, it's like, okay, we start getting into the realm of, is this really worth it? The only way I would want to pay more, like, one, I know you got to pay for the Bethesda acquisition. Okay, if they included Ubisoft, I would do that. But then I think you have a real risk of how much are they paying out of pocket to cover what people won't be spending on physical games for those companies.
I think they're going to not make it up with increasing the cost. I think they're going to make it up with increasing the access. I would wager that through xCloud, we are going to see at some point announced this year that you're going to access xCloud through a new medium. And I think that might be like
TV. I think it's TV smart apps.
Bill's already said that we're going to get xCloud through PCs. We're getting it on TVs, and we're getting it on iOS this year. Like, those are their three that they get on this year.
So I think that's how they're going to make up the margin. You're going to see new subscriptions to people that do not have anything.
I think regardless, you're going to get the Ubisoft subscription on Xbox no matter what. Like, it's... From what I understand, it's gone over really well on PC, and it does work differently than EA Play. EA Play, like, there's two different EA ones on PC. There's EA Play and there's EA Origin, I think, or Origin Prime or whatever, where you get the games on release day. Whereas EA Play, we got to wait for them to go into the vault. Still a phenomenal deal, you know. I was fine with paying my $30 a year for it already. Ubisoft, I would pay for that because you get your games day one with them. And it would actually make me play things like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry when they come out, rather than waiting like 2 months for them to drop to half off.
2 months? It's like 3 weeks.
Immortals is like $30 already, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm getting Immortals next. Like, I have less of a problem, I guess, with Ubisoft because I tend to, despite how much I complain about them, I generally enjoy those games a little bit more. But I don't know. Like, I'd still rather, I think, see them make another deal to bring another service to Game Pass. Invest that money into like some small teams, into like some into indie exclusives, into third-party deals. Like, we've got Stalker 2 is going to come day one. Give me more stuff like that. You know, give me more stuff like Tetris Effect Connected coming. You know, like, oh, it's basically just DLC for Tetris Effect, but we didn't have that on Xbox. Cool. Yeah. This is exclusive now. Like, give me stuff like that. That's what I want to see. I would rather spend the money on that than on another subscription service that's a part of Game Pass.
I would have rather seen, like, if they're looking to like make up revenue some way that's not through any of these other things, I would rather them see, instead of giving me as a new subscriber free 2 months of Disney Plus, like, let me tack on my Disney Plus subscription to your subscription and like give me like $1 or $2 off a month or something. Like, I would like. I know, like, what is it? There's like Amazon does this where you can subscribe to like Showtime and everything through there, so everything's like kind of in one package.
I do it through iTunes, so yeah.
I would rather Xbox do something like that, where it's just like, let me consolidate something and I'll do it through one thing, and I'm sure they get a cut if you're doing it through their medium or something like that. I don't know.
That's why Apple doesn't want you to be able to sign up directly for subscription services or like buy through your Kindle on their platform, is because Amazon doesn't want to give them that money.
Correct.
Yeah.
So. There's a lot of weird rules like that.
Dude, the last like, I have a lot of Apple stuff. I'm already like kind of ingrained in that ecosystem. But like I put in the Discord, I said, LeRon, I need a PC. Half jokingly, but like just the half the things that happened with Apple and other apps this year, I would say, has made me really consider leaving that ecosystem. It's like
I won't leave Apple because of the security nature of it, especially with my phone in particular.
Yeah.
But I will say that I don't mean to cut you off, Corey. I apologize.
No.
That we have two like television scenarios in our house outside of like computers and tablets and stuff like that. One upstairs, one downstairs. Both had Apple TVs previously on it. Now I have a PlayStation 5 upstairs and an Xbox Series X downstairs. I have no need for an Apple TV anymore because now the Apple TV app is on both of those consoles. So I have access to my whole library, and I still have access to Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, HBO, all that stuff. So we now are in the process of like, I still have them hooked up, but we have the media remotes, and we're doing like a trial of being like, no Apple TVs. See how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm probably not going to leave the Apple ecosystem, but I'm just saying it. Like, it had me consider it for the first time in a while. So, but anyways, let's we answered the question, right? That was the question.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Our next question comes from Jeff James from the Diggity Podcast. He asks, do you think it is possible that Xbox will start to look into a way to create a middle controller group that accompanies the features of the PS5 controller while not being as expensive as the Elite, given its popularity so far? I think so, because they're already surveying people on that if they like directly referencing the DualSense controller, and if they would be interested in implementing those features into the Xbox controller. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw like an upgraded version of the Xbox controller within a year.
I definitely can see that coming, and that would enable things like haptic trigger feedback and pressure triggers to be put into more games. More games could be built for that, and could take advantage of that, because we've seen this before. When one controller does something, that doesn't mean that everybody else uses it, you know? And we were like, oh, these are cool features, but we can't use them because they're not valid on other controllers. Like, we got to map the controller in some really weird way or something. You know, like an Xbox, it's us clicking down on a lot of thumbsticks or like having to double click, whereas like on PS4, it's, let's just hit the touch bar. You know, it's basically R3 or something. If you do this, I think the regular controllers go down to, they're almost always on sale anyways. They permanently go down like $35 or $40.
They're on Amazon all the time for like $40.
Yeah. I think you take the regular Series, you take Series X controller and you bump it down to like $35, $40. You can still use your little special editions or whatever. And I think you introduce kind of like your intermediate controller at $60, $65, basically comparable to the DualSense is what, $70?
70.
For one of those?
Yeah, they are. They're $70 now.
Dude, undercut it by like $5-10. Like, just hit within that price range, and then you've still got the Elite for those who want like the absolute best experience. There's no way an Elite Series 3 is not coming this year. Like, it's coming this year or early next year. It just flat out is. So why not do a complete controller refresh alongside that?
You're gonna have to put. You're not going to have that on AA though. Like,
no, I think you would have to shift to.
You have to have a lithium battery in there.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, I've played a lot of my PlayStation 5 this week, in particular. I don't know why, just stars aligned. No, it's upstairs, so like mostly like the kids can play it. And here's the thing that I would say about it. This would be my biggest concern, is that PlayStation does this every year with like or not every year, every console release with a new controller. They have some sort of feature that is pretty cool and innovative and is very impressive at launch, because
the first year,
all the titles are investing in that like debut of like, hey, let's really showcase these features of the console. Sony is so good at that. Think of like the original DualShock 3 with the six axis.
The 6
They
axis.
had the bowling game. You had like all the mini games that you could download on like the store for like there was that little duck game that I liked with the little pools of water and you could go around and collect all the ducks. Anyway, they do that, but then it just kind of gets shelved for a really long time because the amount of extra development time to do that is too much. Now, Sony first-party titles will probably take advantage of that always. They've always done that. Uncharted, I think, always does stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Infamous did it with the DualShock where you had to shake the controller like a spray can.
It's neat. Like, it is cool. But like, and then even look at Nintendo. Nintendo did the same thing. But they have the haptic feedback in their little things and the infrared sensor and all that stuff that just is like.
Ask me how many games that it's used in. You know,
I think two that I'm aware of is that one.
It's 1-2 Switch and Clubhouse games.
Oh, there's the cardboard one too.
Oh,
with the game full of cardboard.
Labo.
They use most of those features. And don't get me wrong, I think all of that stuff is cool, but I guarantee you that as soon as a studio is crunching, trying to get a product done, they're like, what's the first thing it's going to cut? It's going to be the optional haptic stuff. And then eventually the PlayStation down the line is going to be like, you know what? We could save costs if we just cut out the haptic in this controller, sell the controller for $30, $40. And then since not all the games use it, and then people will just kind of forget about it. I hope that doesn't happen. It is genuinely very impressive.
Yeah,
very impressive.
In my personal review of that controller, I was like, this is the most fantastic thing Sony has ever done with their systems, and they've done a lot of innovative stuff with their systems. But the DualSense controller was amazing, and it would honestly be a great thing that if Microsoft can get a piece of that pie, because the DualSense controller is now usable on PC and Linux systems.
It's the first time for me, I think, in probably 2 generations where, and a little bit is personal bias, where I can say that I think that the 2 controllers are pretty damn equal, if not with the slight edge going to the DualSense. I personally don't like how the DualShock 3 or 4 feel just in my hands. My hands feel really cramped playing it. But I love the 360 controller. I loved its evolution to the Xbox One. The Series X controller really isn't that different. And that's both a good and a bad thing. You gave me improved triggers and an improved D-pad. That's about all I wanted. And that share button. We finally have a quality share button on an Xbox controller. Then you look at DualSense and you're like, fuck, I wish we had that.
I was actually kind of underwhelmed by the new Xbox controller.
Get out!
Oh no,
Get out! Send him back to Crossroads.
I was. I mean, I use an Xbox controller for most of my PC gaming, except for like specialized stuff, and I just pull out the PS4. But I was kind of underwhelmed. I was expecting, I don't know, like this is technically a refresh. I was expecting something different, not saying that they
don't like it. Like, I like the familiarity of it. Like, you've been playing with the same controller for some of us for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
Just with better, incrementally better. That's great. They took the Sony approach with that. Because, I mean, like, largely, a lot of the DualShocks felt similar until about the PS4. The DualSense, though, like, that's the perfect shape of controller for me. I like the bigger game pads. That's why I like the Pro Controller so much. Holy shit. That thing feels so great in my hands. I love it. I'm buying a PS5 almost strictly for the controller right now. I'm not joking either.
The controller is great. It's really good. My only problem I have with the DualSense is the PlayStation button, the actual PlayStation button that is like the shape of the logo.
That is my gripe too, because once they made the PlayStation button a feature on the controllers, there's always that round circular thing that's really smooth to the touch and everything. It's like, why did you make it a PlayStation logo? Because sometimes I'll thumb over it and like it doesn't even register in my brain that it's like an actual button.
Yeah,
I like how that's like what I like about the Xbox is it's now like deep into the controller. Like, so if you thumb your button, if you run your thumb over it, you're not going to accidentally trigger it unless you actually press down. And it's like far enough up there that you're not accidentally bumping it.
So where I would see these two thoughts converging for Xbox. So this is what I would like. So the cool thing about the DualSense, I mean, is obviously the haptic, but it's the variation in trigger pulls to me. I mean, yes, the vibration is neat, but for whatever reason, when I play Xbox, I play a lot of competitive games. It's a lot of first-person shooters. I'm looking for like the minimal edge that I can eke out of everything. I would love to see, because the Elite Series 2 is very cool, that you have a lot of customization that you can go and I can tighten and loosen my analog sticks. I can change the trigger pulls on it. I would love that if I could do that digitally through haptics, so that I could change the feel of my controller, but not for the sensation of like feeling like this thing or feeling like that thing, but just actually getting more resistance. Change it more dynamically. So when I'm sniping, maybe the controller automatically makes it so that my sensitivity is a little different. Or, if I'm playing a first-person shooter, I can have this one trigger pull, like have a very short pull on it, while the other one for like the ADSing has a little bit longer variance to it. If I could do that through haptics, I think that would be really cool. And I think it would come out with a new level of customization while opening the door for all the cute stuff, the fun stuff. But Xbox doesn't have a great lineup of immersive story-driven games where I feel like they're really going to take advantage of that. I mean, yeah, it'll be neat, but it'll seem like a copy unless they add their own flavor on top of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't mind the Xbox controller. I couldn't have said any of it better than any of you did. I do expect some sort of middle ground controller, though, coming within the next year with some of these features. I actually might even expect an Elite version 3 sometime down the road with these features in it as well. At some point. Not this coming year, but probably like in the next 2 or 3 years or something.
I want an Elite Series 3 that's Halo themed. And if I don't get one, you've made a mistake.
All right.
Take another $200 from me.
We're gonna move on to our next question. Eric Hathaway writes and he says, "What is a genre that Xbox is missing in its announced catalog?"
No, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I had just said it. Immersive, story-driven, single-player games.
That was exactly what I was about to say. They're few and far between, in my opinion, in the Xbox library, especially when you look, on the first party side. Yeah, like Ubisoft throws out one, every so often, EA
no. We're talking exclusives here. We're talking exclusives.
Yeah,
should be exclusive.
Yeah.
Specifically from Microsoft too. None of this like third party, like, oh, well, Final Fantasy VII Remake. No, nothing like that. Published by Microsoft Game Studios.
Yeah, they need it. They honestly, and this is the one thing that I hear a lot of Xbox gamers they're clamoring for. They want this. They want the Spider-Man experience. They want the Uncharted experience. They want all these experiences and stuff like that. I mean, and yeah, like it needs to be first party. I mean, like technically, Hellblade is technically first party now.
It is first. Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's still not on a level of like a. I mean, the things they did.
No. I'm not trying to say that.
No. I know. I'm just clarifying for some of the people who are listening. Like, it's still not on the. It's Xbox doesn't have their Uncharted, their Last of Us, their God of War, right? They. I think Xbox desperately needs something like that to.
It's something. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just to bring themselves up into the conversation. Like, you can have all the Halos and Perfect Darks and Gears that you want. I do legitimately think that Gears 5 was the first step in that direction. But it's not. It was like a baby step in that direction.
So, a couple of thoughts on this before I get to what I think about the actual answer to the question. One, it does take quite a bit to build up those teams. Sony did not pull this off overnight. If anybody really remembers the PlayStation 3 era, I mean, yeah, you had the Uncharted series and you had The Last of Us. You really didn't have any, and you had God of War 3. You really didn't have any other like major story-driven games, right? that really happened with the PlayStation 4 and with Sony finally doing what I hope Microsoft is starting to do, which is telling their teams, like, okay, we don't know if this is going to work out, but you're welcome to try, which we know is what they said about Horizon. I believe they said about the original Last of Us too. Like, oh, we don't know, but go for it. Like, go for it. Like, you've convinced us, go for it. Like, who was it? God, I'm forgetting his name right now. The studio director of Santa Monica.
Corey Barlog?
Barlog.
Corey Barlog. Corey
Yeah.
Barlog. I knew it was Corey something, and I didn't want to call him the wrong Corey. I
me.
almost said Corey Taylor, and I'm like,
It's me.
he said that he had to argue with them about why God of War was a good idea. Because the last couple of God of Wars, had been, some of them have been portable, and then you had Ascension, which really underperformed, and he was like, we basically knew, like, if this wasn't a 10 out of 10 game, like, our studio could possibly close.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of knew that about Horizon as well. Like, Horizon was known for making Killzone, for, like, making B-tier Halo. And then they both turned out some of the best experiences of the entire generation. Like, what happened was such an anomaly, but those teams are so strong now, it's going to be seen as less and less of an anomaly as we go on. Bringing Insomniac underneath that first-party banner, I see some of the story-driven games that they did, like Quantum Break. I think Quantum Break is a great story-driven single-player game, like Remedy's games usually are. And I've addressed this so many times, there was no promotion behind that game. None whatsoever.
There wasn't.
Microsoft, and particularly, and I'm going to name names here, particularly Aaron Greenberg and his team do not seem to understand you can market a game that is not a shooter or a racer. You are, in fact, allowed to do that. I promise you. Nobody's going to get upset with you if you don't promote something that's not Gears, Halo, or Forza. Like, you are allowed to promote lesser-known games. Ori and the Will of Wisps came out last year, was a Game of the Year contender. I did not know it was out except for one person who tweeted, oh, hey, I guess I can talk about this now. I've been playing Will of Wisps for a couple of days now. It's out today. You guys should pick it up.
You know what's crazy? What's crazy about Ori is I thought that was a PC title. I didn't even realize that it was supposed to be an Xbox, title.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, you have these unique experiences, and I mean, yes, I'm not trying to equate that Will of Wisps is on the level of a God of War. I mean, for some people, it's like, for me, it's not for me. I mean, God of War is my game of the generation. I hope that we're going to see some of those experiences going forward, because that's one of my two answers for this, is that I think they really, really, really need that. And I still think it's going to be a while. I think Perfect Dark is going to be a step in that direction, because that's more of like a stealth game. Like, that's kind of like trying to be their answer to like a Splinter Cell or a Metal Gear Solid, I think, which is great. Those are good story-driven games as well, right? And I think there's different categories of being a dynamic single-player story-driven game. Like, we're seeing Xbox double and like quadruple down on immersive RPGs. Like, they want to be the home of RPGs like the OG Xbox was, with, it being the home of Elder Scrolls, Fable, Fallout, whatever In Exile is working on. We talked about Hellblade. We know that the team over there is doing Project Mara as well, which is a horror-style game. Like, I'm excited for these because these are such unique experiences. You've got the ex-Quantic Dream devs that have set up shop with Microsoft now. Like, that's the one, like, if you want to peg one that will be an early indicator if they're going to take this seriously this generation and be like, yeah, we're actually listening to you guys. We're not going to try to buy something like Rise of the Tomb Raider again. We're actually going to make it in-house and promote it. That is an early one. But you have to let people know these games are there and not be like, well, we told them it was coming to Game Pass in a blog post or on a social media post. Like,
yeah.
No, I want to see dev diaries. I want to see feature stories, whether it be, on online with like IGN First or in the pages of Game Informer. Like, I want to see you guys take looks into this. I want blog posts on it. Like I said, dev diaries. Like, Sony does this for so many games. They let us know where they're at. Stop announcing things so far out with cinematic trailers and it still be 2 to 3 years away. You gotta stop doing that.
Question: what's the official Microsoft, like the Xbox games website? Like, like Sony has PlayStation Blog, Nintendo,
Xbox Wire.
Xbox Wire. Okay. Yeah. I hardly ever see articles come. They get shared or put out by them. No. So I didn't even know it existed.
I almost never see it get put out. It's the shame of it is the things that are written on there are actually really well written, and I like being able to search within there. but it's very much acts as a press release site more than anything. It's not like as easily accessible as like PlayStation Blog, for example. Like PlayStation Blog that's the ideal way. Like that's a mixture of a press release and you're hearing from devs on there.
Yeah.
With Microsoft, it's very much just their own PR people who are fantastic people, but holy shit, get into some other mediums or at least tell us that these things are out.
Here's the one thing I'll say as the outsider looking in, because I host a Crossroads show, so that's a PlayStation show. I'm also a PC gamer, so technically, I'm kind of an Xbox gamer, but I'm not exactly an Xbox gamer. The one thing I've noticed from the outside looking in is that and what I can't figure out is like, did Microsoft build the culture that single player experiences weren't a thing, or did the way gamers reacted to everything they made Microsoft feel like the single player immersive games weren't the thing?
I just feel like the way that Halo and later Call of Duty kind of came up and made Xbox Live what it is. I just feel like I feel like the culture around Xbox has always been centered around multiplayer, even with the original Xbox, where it came with an Ethernet port, and then Xbox Live a couple years later with Rainbow Six 3 and later Halo 2.
Not even a couple years later. It literally came out like 8 months after launch, maybe.
Yeah,
we had Mech Assault in like August 2002.
That's one of the coolest things. That's one of the coolest things Microsoft has done. Microsoft actually revolutionized LAN parties with console systems.
LAN parties, but they were also like the first real console, I feel, to have a working online system. Like you could talk with your friends over voice chat like you could on PC. You couldn't do that on any of their consoles before. Like PlayStation 2 did it with SOCOM, but let's not pretend that SOCOM and Final Fantasy 11 were on the level of Halo 2, Rainbow Six 3, Ghost Recon Island Thunder, Mech Assault, Madden, I remember when EA came to Xbox Live, how big of a deal that was. Microsoft no longer had to make their own sports games.
What do you mean? NFL, what was it? Fever wasn't good with super roided out Peyton Manning and
no. I mean, dude, I remember playing NFL 2K5 on the OG Xbox, and it's like that was such a huge part of their identity going into the 360. And even from the entire 360 era, them being able to brag, we have the best online, we are the best place to play this and that. It was not until I would say probably a year or two in the PS4 that we could have a legit conversation and say, I mean, perks aside, like PlayStation Plus perks aside, that these services are on equal footing now.
So I remember whenever PlayStation came out, it was PlayStation 3 is when they really started to compete online. And it was a shit show. Like I would wait in lobbies forever. The chat just like really wasn't there. They didn't have a standardized.
You had to go into the browser to buy the games.
Yeah. But there was a time period in PlayStation 3, LeRon, I don't know if you remember this or if any of you remember this, but the store was like hacked and was down for like months. Like it was like
there was two big ones. There was the first one, which definitely was a DDoS intrusion. That happened right around the holiday period too. Like it was a terrible time, and like it stayed broken. I want to say through February.
It was a long time.
Yeah. And then the second one was when Sony had to take down all the services because GeoHots basically broke the firmware system and was able to hack and homebrew the PlayStations and stuff like that. Yeah. There's been some really dark days with PlayStation Online. And I mean, like, when I say took down the services, they took down the music service. They took down everything. The movie service. I had people who had Sony televisions that Sony was coming out with their smart TVs that, was plugged into like the movie service and stuff like that. And that was down. And they're like, hey, well, if I buy a PlayStation, can I do this? Like, no, you can't.
And like for Xbox, like it goes down for a couple hours and everyone shits the bed. And they're like, I hope I get a refund for those 2 hours. And it's like, yeah, but, I mean, it's all right. It's okay.
What you gonna do? Get 20 cents?
Yeah, seriously. For the penny that you paid for your free trial for the extra month, come on. Who are we kidding here?
The realistic answer for me, like beyond the single player dynamic experience that is explicitly not an RPG, because I think they've got RPGs covered now. I would have to say for me is I think they need either, we already addressed JRPGs as well in an earlier question. I would say a fighting game. I would love to see an in-house fighting game again, and I do not understand for the life of me why Killer Instinct is not still getting support. Maybe I just don't understand fighting games as much. I understand the studio that was developing it got bought out by Amazon. RIP Iron Galaxy. You were great while you lasted. I would love to see them do a fighting game, and that's part of why, like, over the summer when we heard the rumors about them acquiring a big publisher, which ended up being ZeniMax, we were hearing that it was going to be Warner Brothers, and like we were like, oh my god, like all sitting on the edge of our seats at the Xbox event, being like, shit, are they going to come out and announce that like the next Batman is exclusive? Are they going to announce that Mortal Kombat is now an Xbox game?
Well, the first thought I had was like they could do Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct at some point.
Right. The only thing I got excited for really was I was like, okay, cool. You'll have Rocksteady working for you. You'll have the License to Fear. I love those games. You'll have Mortal Kombat. You'll have an actual fighting game you can develop in-house, and you could even be like, hey, to avoid pissing people off, we're going to put Mortal Kombat on ice for a little bit. Can the team at NetherRealm, can you guys make us a next-gen Killer Instinct game? And I think that would solve NetherRealm's PR problem. It would have given Ed Boon something new. Like, I love Injustice. I love Mortal Kombat. Like, I like these games, even though I'm dog shit at them. I think an exclusive fighting game, though, goes a long way with your community. I mean, look at PlayStation. PlayStation had Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V was exclusive to PlayStation last gen.
Yeah.
That exclusivity moved units in the fighting game community. It really did. Killer Instinct was good, but I don't think it was good enough to be moving Xboxes, despite it being featured at EVOs and things like that. I would love to see them do it, and instead of it just being like, oh, hey, we're just throwing this out there as like a $10 title, make it a full-on release. Give me a full game at launch, and then do fighter packs. Support it for several years. You keep talking about games you want to make into a platform. I feel like that is Smash Brothers has shown us that it is a super profitable route. Dragon Ball FighterZ has proved that's profitable. Marvel vs. If it had been good, I'm sure would have proved that to us.
I mean, even Injustice did, right? Like, I mean, you look at that.
You're
like,
actually onto something.
The only reason why I bought in, like, the 95% of the reason why I bought Injustice was because the Ninja Turtles were in one of the fire packs.
Yeah.
And it's coming to Game Pass this month.
I know. I already own it.
I have spent way more money than I would care to admit on the new Mortal Kombat downloading characters, because they have RoboCop, Rambo, Terminator, Spawn. Like, I too am dog shit at these games, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I kind of want to play as Spawn for a little bit. I play versus my wife, and we're about equal in it.
She's probably a little better though, isn't she?
A little bit. She legitimately kicked my ass when I played as RoboCop for the first time, and like she always has to look at me. It's like, did you let me win? And I was like, I legitimately did not let you win. I was like, you won that one fair and square.
You guys are actually on to something about the fighting games, though, because when Tekken 6 came out on Xbox, that was a big deal. It was the first Tekken game to actually be outside of a Sony system, and that was a big deal.
Yeah.
If Microsoft could get a Ratchet and Clank type game and a Uncharted type game, it would quench a lot of my thirst that I get fulfilled from my PlayStation.
I mean, they have. I think like Conquer could easily fill that Ratchet and Clank role. Like, there's one Conquer game.
It has to be genuine. Psychonauts does not fill a Ratchet and Clank hole for me.
I love Psychonauts.
I'm not saying that I don't like Psychonauts. It's just they're not the same game to me at all.
Yeah. I feel like they don't feel the same either.
If you were going to do a Ratchet and Clank style game in-house with the talent that you have right now, I know people are going to say, oh, give it to Rare. Like, Rare has moved beyond doing platformers at this point.
They're
Double
not
Fine.
filling that, yeah.
Double Fine. Like, they've already said that whatever they do after Psychonauts is going to be a bit smaller scale and is going to be a brand new IP. Let Tim Schafer be your guy on that. Like, let him make that weird, quirky game. At least with him making it, you know he's not going to sit there and make a billion sequels to it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Moon Studios is joining you anytime soon. Their next game is multi-plat anyways. Otherwise, they'd be like, go give it to them. Like, no, that's God, dude. Give me an original Double Fine platformer.
Yeah,
I too have the Ratchet and Clank itch sometimes.
Yeah.
So, if I can,
not often.
I
do.
Corey, I'm so sorry. This is the second time that I'm doing this. I know you were waiting to talk.
No, I'm not really waiting to talk. I'm watching the Browns win 35-7 right now.
All right.
So.
I have a little bit of a tangent here. So Sony 100% has so many great first person, or not first person, but like first party titles that are just like really good immersive games. I love Ratchet and Clank, and I had a Ratchet and Clank itch over the weekend. We downloaded it. I've been playing it through with my 5-year-old. We're having a lot of fun. But the devastating thing about Sony in particular is that I, on my PlayStation 5, can play one Ratchet and Clank game out of a catalog of however many that there are.
14,
That
I think I heard.
Fucking crime. That's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
I can't play it.
Especially because those PS3 ones were so good too.
And there was a lot of them. There was 4 or 5 that came out during the place because they had those like really tiny ones.
Mm-hmm.
They were like
they had
$30.
Let's see, they had the first one was Tools of Destruction, which was like the first like main one, and then they had the downloadable one, which was Quest for Booty, which was really good, and then they had a Crack in Time, and then they had a bunch of other ones that they started pumping out pretty regularly. But those first 3 were really good on PS3.
I would even play the first one. I would play it PlayStation 2 graphic style. I don't need a remaster or anything like that. I just want to play the fucking game. And I can't.
I feel like Sony, especially with like the PS2 and PS3 era alone, if you would just bundle those collections, like even the HD collections that they had on PS3, like the God of War HD collection, the Jak and Daxter HD collection, the Ratchet and Clank ones, like even if you
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, even if you updated those to put on PlayStation 5 at this point, just updated them so they run in 4K and like a clean frame rate at that level of quality that they were on PlayStation 3. It's like they're sitting on a gold mine just waiting because backwards compatibility doesn't exist.
Well, it's kind of stupid because there's a bunch of PS2 titles that are on the store that you can buy and play on PS5, and I know they're all done through emulation. So what are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? You can solve your own backwards compatibility problem right now. If you just take a little bit of time, do the work, and actually make these games playable.
And don't price gouge us either.
$10 is the most anyone should be able to pay for these PS2 classics.
Look, I paid $10 for Knights of the Old Republic 1 yesterday. $10, and I was like, I feel pretty good about $10 on Knights of the Old Republic digitally.
Because you like the game.
Yeah.
If you want to like spruce it up a bit, like do an anniversary edition of a game or something, don't come charging me $60 unless you're gonna full remake it like Resident Evil 2 style or Final Fantasy 7 remake. Do not ever charge me $60 for those are legit remakes. Those are not facelifts. Those are remakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then in terms of value, like something like Master Chief Collection has just completely annihilated any other bad faith argument you can have. Like I paid $60 for that game at launch, and I have subsequently gotten Reach and ODST added on for free. I have 6 games that I paid $50 for ultimately. That is an insane, with every single mode and multiplayer map has been added over time. That is an insane bargain. If you ever try to charge me more than that, if you try to charge me that for a single title again, for a remaster or a facelift, I'm going to laugh at you and hope that your game fails.
And
just flat.
And MCC got the update, like a week or 2 after the new series.
Like 120 frames,
and it plays phenomenally. Like it's great. Why can't I play any of the Resistance games? And I'm not trying to shit on PlayStation. I'm just saying the grass is not fucking greener on the other side. Because you have some great games that you need to have 3 different consoles to play them all.
Yeah. That was my number one gripe. The first week after PS5 came out, because I got one of the launch edition consoles, and so the rest of the Crossroads crew, they grilled me about everything. I was like, the one thing that pisses me off is like when I go to my closet, like I still have my PS1, my PS2, my PS3, my PS4 are in the closet right now. And it's not because I got this hoarder mentality. And like eventually, like when I move into my next place, I will have one of those game / YouTube rooms and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad I still have these old consoles because there'll be something in the background. But like it's kind of like choice, that I had to keep these because I have crazy ass PS2 games I can't play anymore because they died out with the system as soon as PS3 came out.
And it's funny because they have, which is another great game that's free with the console is the Astros Playroom. It's a really great game. It does a great job of showcasing the features of the console while actually being like a legitimately like it's a good game to play.
It's also the easiest platinum trophy you will ever get.
It's true. And you do that, and then they go through and you find all the old consoles from like the PlayStation 1. You have like the whole thing, and it's like, but why can't I fucking play a PlayStation 1 game on this console? You're doing such a fan service to show like the history of PlayStation and how it's all in this one thing, but it's not. And I get it might be coming, and I love my PlayStation 5. It's a great console. And I've had every PlayStation console with every Xbox console, so it's not like I'm not invested in that ecosystem at all. It's just that I really like, as much as I want Xbox to come out with that great immersive cinematic game that captures everyone's imagination, I want Sony to realize that they have such a legacy that they need to do a better job preserving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You know what? Thank you for having me on the show tonight, guys, because this is helping me plan the big topic for this week's Crossroads. We're gonna talk about the legacy of PlayStation, and we're gonna talk about what Sony needs to do.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, like, minus a few titles, like I feel like Xbox has done a pretty good job of getting most of the stuff onto their backwards compatible list. Like there's a few noticeable ones, but it's more of a licensing thing than a you know, like the Ninja Turtles and X-Men arcade games from 360 aren't backwards compatible. Batman Arkham Origins isn't backwards compatible unless you have the disc. Mech Assault's not on there. Like there's very few games, and like I hope some of this stuff is remedied, although I know a lot of stuff, especially like the Turtle stuff, is very licensed heavy, and this is like just a lot of those older games are never going to come back, and that's understandable at this point. But
if they'll be local releases for the specific console.
Yeah, it's just I'm very pleased with because I like the store has a backwards compatible section, and you go through that backwards compatible section, and it's just like, man, like there's very few omissions from there. Like I know the Prince of Persia sequels aren't on there. Like Sands of Time is on there, but the sequels aren't on there. But there's very few games I can point to and say that's not on there. Huh? That's weird. You know. So, I'm very happy that Xbox is going through them and like really preserving this stuff.
I like that I felt comfortable getting rid of my Xbox One to buy a Series X. Like it was the easy. I didn't have to think about it. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Get rid of it. I can do all the same plus on the new one, and I think that's going to be the norm moving forward. I didn't have any fear associated with it, but yeah, I would love. Man, I want to play Max Payne 3. I love that game, and I realize that I'm probably the odd man out in the crowd with that game. It's got a killer soundtrack.
That's not true. Ed likes that game.
Oh, really? I think it's a great game. I really do. I think that it is very underrated. But I want to play that game again, and I can't play it on Xbox or PlayStation right now. So I go fuck myself.
We do have one more Twitter question. We can just read that and then get out of here. We'll make it quick. This is from Brody Foltz from the Diggity Podcast again. To get 2 shout outs on this. I like their show though. I love being on there. They're awesome hosts and good show. This question comes from the question you gave us. Is Halo still the most important game for Xbox? There is a lot of claim that it is, but could something like Fable be far more of a turning point for Microsoft, since Halo fans are going to buy an Xbox either way?
Halo is no longer the most important franchise for Xbox.
I think I think that Halo Infinite is the most important game for Halo. I think Xbox is much more than Halo at this point.
I will tell you right now that I think up until the delay of Halo Infinite, I think Halo Infinite was the single most, and to an extent, it is still the single most important game that Microsoft has ever published. But at the same time, the series is not the most important thing going forward, if that makes sense. I know that sounds contradictory, but Infinite, for me, I think it's the single most important game that they have in the pipeline right now because it would show a fulfillment if it's good, and it has to be nothing short of the best one since Halo 3. We've discussed this ad nauseum. Would show commitment to the vision. They were willing to delay the game a full year to live up to what they were promising us during the year up until the reveal and the lackluster reveal and stuff. They would be doing what Sony and Nintendo do. If something's not ready, it gets delayed 6, 12, 18 months, however long it has to, until it's ready to go. And I think especially after Cyberpunk, they're going to be a lot more gun-shy. Going forward, though, I think that you nailed it right there. I think it's going to be... I don't know if one specific franchise is the most important necessarily. Like I think Gears is coming to an end fairly soon. At least the main Gears storyline is. It really, after 5, it feels that way.
It feels like 6 is coming to a point where it's going to...
Yeah. Where it's good for this cast of characters. And I mean, really, how many more times can we just keep doing the Locust, right?
Right.
I think going forward, though, Fable next. That's what I'm choosing to call next-gen Fable. Fable next. And... honestly, Elder Scrolls. I think that Elder Scrolls Fallout, I think the future, I don't think there's one specific franchise that's going to be important to them going forward like Halo. Halo has defined Xbox, for better or worse, for 20 years now. 20 years this November. And we still, I mean, I would argue that Forza and Gears are like a step below Halo in terms of like you associate Xbox with those franchises. I think that the RPG franchises are going to collectively pick up that torch and carry it, though. It's not going to be one franchise anymore. It's going to be very much like Sony and like Nintendo. They're going to have a variety of IP to choose from and say, these are the faces of our franchise for the next 2 years while we're developing other IP, while we're working on a sequel to a game that you loved in the past. That is the best place to be in. They are the only ones that are still... everything seems to keep riding on Master Chief. And as we saw on Xbox One, that can't happen. That simply can't happen. This is not the Xbox or the Xbox 360 anymore. Halo simply isn't going to cut it anymore. You got to have like 8 more reasons to buy this box. And no, Game Pass is not the reason to buy this box. Hence the Bethesda purchase. Hence we're bringing Fable back. We've got Hellblade going, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Perfect Dark. I mean, Joanna Dark is going to be an icon going forward for this platform. Like, you've got so many things. Utilize them correctly. You had others you could have had as some of your faces, and you chose not to promote those games, and now you've lost the rights to them. Quantum Break, Alan Wake, Sunset Overdrive, like genuinely great games that you can't push anymore.
Just think, if they would have promoted Quantum Break the right way and have been like the way Microsoft's been acquiring studios, if they would have promoted Quantum Break the right way, you could have honestly seen Remedy kind of come into the fold, and Control would have been an Xbox exclusive. And like, if
the weirdest part is like Remedy is still so closely associated with Xbox. Like Crossfire is still being produced with Xbox to be a timed exclusive. The single player is like, and that Control is on Game Pass now. Like, it's so weird. Like, Alan Wake has only ever been available here. Quantum Break is only available here. Like, Remedy makes great games. It's just people discounted them because it had that funny little Xbox logo next to it. And that's the mentality we got to get past this next generation. Is no, it's not one franchise that defines it. Like, you look at Sony and you ask someone, what's the character that defines Sony? You've got like 8 different choices there.
Crash Bandicoot.
That with Xbox. Oh, an exclusive character. Like, if I asked you to sum up the PS4 in one character, I don't think I could.
Sly Cooper.
I don't think I could tell you a single most important franchise.
Astrobot.
Like, they've got 6 of
now
them.
Now it's Astrobot. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you've got like 6 or 7 to choose from, and we got enough where we can make joking answers. It's like, on Xbox, it goes Master Chief and like, what, the fucking Porsche from Forza or something? Like, what else is there? Ori? Like, no, those Steve from Minecraft? Like, come on. You've got so many games in the works, and I hope to God you put the time and dedication into them that Sony and Nintendo put into their first parties.
I think that Master Chief or Halo is most important to people having a console wars discussion to point out, be like, what's your best game? Halo? They haven't even made a good one in the past 5 years. And it's like, okay. So, like, I agree. I don't think that is the thing that would just define a console. I think everything you said is correct. I want to see a game what's going to define the Xbox is showing me a game of what that I can do in this console. The reason why Halo won that spot is because it redefined a first-person shooter on a console experience. It got the controls right, it got the feel right, it got the visuals, and the game was good. Like it was the fact that it took it did something that the box could do, only this box could do, and it did it perfectly. In addition to the fact that the game was fun and good. So whatever does that for this generation is going to do that. That's the one thing that Sony is very good at. They're very good at being like, this is what our box can do. Focus on these 5 things, and you will make a good game.
And again, it took quite a while to get to that inflection point.
Correct. It did. Before, it was just people making games. I have an idea for a game.
It took the damn near failure of the early years of the PlayStation 3 to kind of turn that argument around, I feel.
Yeah.
And now look at them. They just had, Ed's going to hate me for saying this, they just had the greatest lineup for a console of all time. It's not even an argument anymore, in my opinion. Of a modern console, it is the absolute best lineup you've ever had from a first-party developer.
But they don't have Paper Mario.
Who gives a fuck about Paper Mario? Like, I want to see Xbox. Not necessarily. I'm not a child. I don't need them to win this conversation. I want what they do that's unique with RPGs, FPSs, multiplayer gaming, things that they really focus on, to be at the forefront of that discussion again and be like, listen, you don't have to be a third-person action game to be a worthy story or to be a worthwhile IP. There are beloved characters you can have in a first-person shooter. I mean, we all love Master Chief and the Arbiter, Johnson. Like, we love all of them from Halo. Like, I love Soap and Price's story from Modern Warfare, from the Modern Warfare trilogy. I love Marcus. I love Kate. JD, who is senior fuckboy. Like, I like all of them. and it's just like, I like these characters. I don't want this narrative of you have to have this dynamic, incredible story to care about these characters. Like, you can have an incredible story in any medium, and you can have a worthy IP come from any of that. So it's like, I guess it's just like, I think it's all the franchises together carrying that. I think this is the generation where they've learned now, okay, we fucked up. There's a reason why we abandoned the Xbox One essentially 3 years ago. And it was to prep for this moment. Now, if you could just get some games out before this fall, we'd be a lot happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to get off my soapbox, though. I've gotten on one.
The one major thing I say, because I'm one of those people. I'm still a gamer at my core, and I'm one of those people that I honestly would love to have compelling reasons to own every system. But right now, like, I'm just a PC, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo gamer as far as the household, and that's because Microsoft, for whatever reason, has not just put out the time or the assets or whatever to try and woo me over. I mean, I jokingly say that because their exclusives wind up on PC, that's why I never bought an Xbox. But that's only a small part of the problem. I think the nail in the coffin for a lot of people is like whichever system you buy first, that's usually going to be the one you're heavy on,
Yeah.
And for me, like, usually the console that I buy out, and it's because of my familiarity with their franchises, is Sony. Because back in the Xbox 360, when they had like Mistwalker Studios and stuff like that, I had more and more compelling reasons to buy on Xbox then. When they had Mass Effect. I had. Well, I'm just saying, I had more reasons. When it seemed like
Mistwalker. Oh. It pains me to hear that.
Yeah, they had the head honcho of Square Enix at the time, like leave Square Enix, start its own studio under Microsoft's banner, and I can't even think of 3 games that he put out.
Lost Odyssey is a great game. Last Story.
That's the only. Wait, okay, yeah. There's 2 right there. Well, Lost Odyssey. I forgot Last Story.
Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey came to Xbox 360. Last Story came to Wii.
I see the different teams and the different developers you have. You have so many great, talented people working for you now. You have Joe Staten, who was one of the Halo story guys back in the day. He was the cinematics director. He's come back to lead Infinite now. You have the team that Rod Ferguson put in place before departing the Coalition. You've got the team down there at the Initiative with Drew Murray and Jason Gallagher. And dude, you got Todd Howard and Shinji Mikami working for you now. Like, you've got some incredible minds, some incredible storytellers.
Wait, Mikami's under Xbox now? Because I thought
yes,
Tango
Mikami Studio is Tango GameWorks is part of Bethesda.
Okay.
Yeah, Shinji Mikami technically works for Xbox now. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute.
Wow.
You have so many world-class event. I know, please don't shoot me for putting Todd Howard in that group. I really love Todd's games. As a director, I think Todd has a lot of really great ideas personally. But that's beside the point. You have so many talented people working for you. Take a chance like you did. Let them pitch their own idea. And it does seem like they're starting to do that over at the publishing branch. It seems like Matt Booty is basically dude, do whatever you want to do. He said he got 5 minutes into In Exile's pitch for their next game and was like, go for it. And they were like, Brian Fargo's done it. Brian Fargo, the creator of fucking Fallout, works for him. Fergus over at Obsidian, he works for him. You've got some of the greatest game directors in mind in role-playing games for you. Let them do whatever they want to do. Just let them do it. Don't sit here and dictate, you got to do 4 sequels to The Outer Worlds. Or we need you to make Halo 8 or Gears 10. No, let these teams finish out what they're doing. It's okay to let a beloved franchise go on the back burner, though. I would be fine if you retired Master Chief for a bit. We've talked about this. Do some side stories if you insist on continuing it. Same with Gears. Mm-hmm. Retire these characters.
I'm really interested to see what...
Let them come back Kratos style in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And have the comeback they deserve.
I'm still of the mind that the Coalition is going to release something other than Gears before Gears 6 because they have 2 teams over there. And before they were the Coalition, they were a team called Black Tusk, and they were working on something called Shanghai, which was a third-person stealth action game.
I would still love to see that.
I know, I do too. I want to see it really bad. So... I don't know. I think Xbox has a lot more to offer than Halo. I think there are more important franchises at this point than Halo. Just the last thing to reiterate what I said at the top of this topic was I think that Halo Infinite is the most important game for Halo, not necessarily for Xbox. So
yeah.
But that's going to do it. LeRon, thanks for joining us here on Arsenal X. Remember, you can listen to Arsenal X every Tuesday on a podcast service of choice. Remember to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you for watching, and remember to follow. That'd be great. LeRon, where can we find you?
You can catch me every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Crossroads PlayStation Podcast for Boss Rush Games on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Exodus803, EXODUS803. Also, cool news is that Exodus803 is also my gamer tag, so any of the I'm damn near on every console, including Xbox Live because I have Game Pass. So you can catch me on all the major gaming platforms under that, and also that is my social media handle, so you can catch me on the various social media sites as well. And my YouTube channel, I've actually kind of relaunched it, so you can also look me up as Exodus803 over there on YouTube. So yeah, that's it. It's
also on the Boss Rush Games YouTube channel as the top featured channel, side channel. So you can go over there and check that out too.
I'm flattered.
Really? At this point, you're flattered? This guy.
Hey, you gotta stay humble.
It's fair. Joe, where can we find you?
You know what to do. You're going to check those show notes for Colonel Panic on Twitter and just figure out what I'm doing. It's the best way.
Josh, where can we find you?
Every Thursday night and Friday afternoons on your feeds, hosting Tower Casuals with Corey. And, of course, on Twitter and Twitch as @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. We're finishing Valhalla this week, and then we're going into Greedfall after that.
Pirate Lord Josh Finney.
Maybe some Super Hot.
Super hot pirate lord, Josh Finney. That's your nickname for next week.
You're goddamn right.
Oh, by the way, Josh, I got my, speaking of Tower Casuals, I got my lore book.
Oh, you got volume 3 in?
Yeah.
Nice.
Finally.
We decided we're reading straight from the Grimoire books now because I'm tired of writing up summaries that don't explain it enough.
Someone's already did it for you. Literally published a book about it.
3 of them
I know,
now.
right? Bife, can you do Lore Corner for me? It'll be more than a corner. It'll be a get-together.
Yeah. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on a plethora of content here on Boss Rush Games. You can check out all of our content on bossrushgames.com. Again, remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you follow us or listen to us or watch us. We really appreciate it. And until next week, we love you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good week.
Hey,